Hi there. It started at Jake's party, a lively gathering where laughter and music intertwined in the summer air. Emily had been excited all week about her new dance classes, so when she met Tyler, the dance instructor, it was no surprise that she was immediately drawn to him. Tyler's teaching style is incredible, she gushed as we drove home that night. You should see how passionate he is about salsa. It's contagious. I smiled, happy that she had found something she enjoyed so much. Over the next few weeks, Emily's enthusiasm for dancing grew exponentially. She started spending more evenings at the dance studio, often coming home late, flushed with exhilaration from the intense practices. At first, I didn't think much of it. I trusted Emily completely, and I knew how much she loved dancing. But as the late nights became more frequent, a small seed of doubt began to grow in the back of my mind. I started noticing subtle changes in her behavior, the way she would hastily put her phone away when I entered the room, or the occasional distracted look in her eyes when we talked. One evening, as I was tidying up the kitchen, I noticed Emily's phone buzzing on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't have paid it any mind, but something made me glance at the screen. There it was, messages from Tyler, ones that seemed more personal than professional. My heart sank as I read through them, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. That night, after Emily returned home, I couldn't contain my unease any longer. "Emily," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "can we talk?" She looked surprised but nodded, sensing the seriousness in my tone. We sat down in the living room, facing each other across the coffee table. "What's on your mind?" she asked softly, her eyes searching mine. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I was about to say. "I found messages on your phone from Tyler," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "They seem more than just professional." For a moment, Emily's face registered shock, then a flicker of guilt passed across her features. She sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. I didn't mean for you to find out like this," she murmured, her gaze dropping to her hands in her lap. I felt a pang of hurt and disbelief. "Emily, what's going on?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Have you developed feelings for him?" She hesitated, biting her lip before finally meeting my eyes. "Yes," she admitted quietly. "I didn't plan for this to happen, but Tyler and we've grown close. It started with dancing, but then things changed." I sat back, feeling like the world around me was crumbling. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice hollow. Emily sighed again, her expression filled with regret. "A few weeks," she replied, her voice barely audible. "I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." Tears welled up in my eyes as the weight of her words settled in. "Emily," I said finally, my voice breaking. "I don't know what to say. I trusted you." She reached out a hand tentatively, but I pulled away, unable to bear the touch. "I think maybe we need some time to figure things out," I managed to say, my throat tight with emotion. She nodded silently, tears now streaming down her own cheeks. The silence hung heavy between us, broken only by the faint sounds of the city outside. For the first time in years, our once solid foundation felt fragile, cracked by the revelation of betrayal. As Emily left the room to give me space, I sat there, alone with my thoughts and the shattered pieces of what I thought was our perfect life together. The weeks that followed were a blur of emotional turmoil and practical decisions. After our tearful confrontation, Emily moved out temporarily, staying with a friend while we navigated the painful process of separating our lives. Initially, I threw myself into work, using the busyness to distract myself from the ache in my heart. But every evening, when I returned to our now empty home, the reality of our shattered marriage hit me anew. Divorce papers were drawn up swiftly. We opted for an amicable dissolution, wanting to minimize further pain. Despite our efforts to keep things civil, each meeting to discuss logistics felt like reopening a wound that had barely begun to heal. Our mutual friends tried to offer support, but I found it difficult to face them. Many were more sympathetic towards Emily, unable to fully grasp the betrayal I felt. It was isolating, realizing how quickly allegiances shifted in the wake of such a revelation. One particularly challenging day, I found myself sorting through boxes of belongings, memories of our life together packed away in cardboard. Each item held a bittersweet significance: a framed photo from our honeymoon, a book Emily loved and we read aloud together, reminders of happier times that now felt distant and irretrievable. Amidst the sadness, there were flashes of anger and confusion. I couldn't comprehend how our bond, built on years of shared dreams and experiences, could be shattered by a dance instructor. It felt like a cruel twist of fate, the kind you read about in tragic novels or watch unfold in melodramatic movies. Occasionally, Emily and I would meet to finalize details or exchange belongings. These encounters were strained, marked by awkward silences and careful avoidance of deeper emotions. Each time I struggled to maintain composure, fighting the urge to lash out or demand answers to questions that plagued my thoughts late into the night. As the legal process dragged on, I sought solace in long walks and solitary moments of reflection. I'd always been introspective, but now my thoughts turned inward with a fierce intensity. What had gone wrong? Was there anything I could have done differently? How could I trust again, knowing how easily trust could be shattered? Slowly, painfully, I began to rebuild my life. Friends encouraged me to try new hobbies and meet new people, but I found myself withdrawing, wary of opening up again. The wounds were still raw, the scars still tender beneath the surface. In quiet moments, I allowed myself to grieve, for the loss of my marriage, for the shattered illusions of trust and fidelity. It was a mourning process unlike any I had experienced before, mourning not just a person, but an entire future I had envisioned. Yet amidst the grief and the uncertainty, there were glimmers of hope. I started to reconnect with old friends, rediscovering the strength of platonic relationships that had weathered the storm of my marriage's collapse. Their unwavering support reminded me that I was not alone, even when it felt like the world had narrowed to a single painful truth. And so, with each passing day, I took tentative steps forward. The road ahead was uncertain, the wounds still fresh, but somewhere in the midst of heartbreak, I began to glimpse the possibility of healing. Days turned into weeks, and the initial shock of separation gradually gave way to a semblance of routine. Work became my refuge, a place where I could focus my thoughts and temporarily escape the weight of my personal life. Colleagues noticed my distraction, offering sympathetic glances and occasional words of encouragement, but mostly giving me space to process everything in my own time. Evenings remained the hardest. Returning to an empty home echoed with memories of shared dinners, lazy Sunday mornings, and quiet evenings curled up together. The absence of Emily's presence was a palpable ache, a constant reminder of the void that now occupied my life. I resisted the urge to reach out to her, knowing that any contact would only reopen wounds that had barely begun to scab over. Instead, I poured my energy into small acts of self-care, cooking simple meals, going for solitary runs in the park, and reading books that had long been on my list, but never seemed urgent enough to pick up. One Saturday afternoon, while sorting through a pile of mail that had accumulated on the kitchen counter, I came across an envelope addressed to both Emily and me. Curiosity piqued. I opened it to find an invitation to a mutual friend's upcoming wedding, a friend we had both known since college. My initial reaction was a mix of surprise and apprehension. The thought of seeing Emily again, especially in the context of a joyful celebration like a wedding, filled me with conflicting emotions. On one hand, I dreaded the awkwardness and potential for painful reminders of what we had lost. On the other hand, a small part of me longed for closure, for a chance to see her face to face and perhaps find some answers that continued to elude me. After much deliberation, I decided to RSVP. The wedding was still several weeks away, giving me time to prepare emotionally for the encounter. I reached out to our friend, asking discreetly about the guest list and seating arrangements, hoping to minimize any unnecessary awkwardness on the day. As the date of the wedding approached, I found myself vacillating between moments of nervous anticipation and deep-seated anxiety. Would Emily bring Tyler as her date? How would I react if I saw them together, wrapped in their newfound intimacy? These questions gnawed at me, threatening to overshadow the joyous occasion that awaited. On the morning of the wedding, I dressed carefully in a suit that had always earned Emily's approval. Looking at myself in the mirror, I couldn't help but feel a pang of melancholy, a reminder of the times when getting ready for such events had been a shared ritual, filled with laughter and playful banter. Arriving at the venue, I was greeted warmly by familiar faces, old friends who offered sympathetic smiles and hugs of support. The atmosphere was festive, the air filled with the buzz of excited chatter and the soft strains of music. I scanned the crowd nervously, my heart racing as I searched for Emily among the guests. And then there she was, a vision in a flowing dress, her hair swept up elegantly, standing near the entrance of the venue. My breath caught in my throat as our eyes met across the room. For a moment, time seemed to stand still, the cacophony of voices fading into the background as we regarded each other in silence. With a deep breath, I approached her tentatively, unsure of what to expect. Emily turned towards me, her expression a mix of surprise and apprehension mirrored my own. We stood there for a moment, enveloped in a palpable tension that spoke volumes of the emotions still lingering between us. "Hi," I managed to say finally, my voice barely above a whisper. "Hi," she replied softly, her gaze searching mine. For a fleeting moment, the weight of our shared history hung heavily in the air. And then, with a hint of sadness and resignation, Emily spoke again. Emily's voice faltered slightly as she spoke, breaking the tense silence that hung between us at the wedding. "I didn't expect to see you here," she admitted, her eyes avoiding mine. I nodded slowly, struggling to find the right words. "Yeah, I debated whether to come," I confessed quietly. "But I didn't want to miss our friend's big day." She nodded in understanding, her fingers twisting nervously around the stem of her wineglass. "I'm sorry," she murmured, her voice barely audible above the din of the reception around us. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. "Emily, I don't know how to do this," I admitted, my voice raw with vulnerability. Seeing you like this after everything, tears welled up in her eyes, and for a moment, it was as if we were transported back to the raw honesty of our early years together, when words flowed freely between us. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I know," I replied softly, my heart aching with the weight of unspoken truths, "but it still hurts." We stood there in silence for a moment, the distance between us filled with years of shared memories and unspoken regrets. Around us, the wedding festivities continued unabated, a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil that enveloped us. Finally, Emily took a hesitant step closer, her eyes searching mine for a glimpse of forgiveness. "Can we talk?" she asked tentatively, her voice tinged with hope. I hesitated, torn between the desire to understand and the fear of reopening old wounds, but then I nodded slowly, unable to deny her or myself the chance to find closure amidst the chaos of our fractured relationship. Finding a quiet corner away from the crowd, we settled into a pair of chairs, facing each other with a mixture of apprehension and longing. The air between us crackled with unspoken words, the weight of our shared history pressing down on us like a heavy blanket. "I never meant for things to turn out this way," Emily began softly, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "Tyler, he was just someone who made me feel alive again, you know? After so many years of routine and taking each other for granted." Her voice faltered, and I reached out instinctively, resting my hand on hers. "Emily, I understand," I said gently, my heart aching with empathy. "But why him? Why did it have to be him?" She looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "I don't know," she admitted quietly. Maybe I was looking for something that was missing in us. And Tyler, he listened to me. He made me feel seen in a way that I hadn't felt in a long time." I closed my eyes, the pain of her words washing over me in waves. "I thought we were happy," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "I thought we had something real." "We did," she replied earnestly, her voice filled with regret. "We had so many beautiful moments together, and I'll always cherish them. But somewhere along the way, I lost sight of what was important, and I'm sorry." The tears finally spilled over, tracing silent paths down my cheeks. "I'm sorry too," I managed to say, my voice thick with emotion. "I never wanted things to end like this." For a long moment, we sat there in shared sorrow, the distance between us narrowing with each tear shed and each word spoken. The weight of our mistakes hung heavy in the air, but so did the fragile hope of reconciliation, an uncertain possibility that flickered like a candle in the wind. As the evening wore on and the wedding celebrations reached their peak, Emily and I found ourselves lingering in that quiet corner, our conversation ebbing and flowing like the tide. In those stolen moments, amidst the chaos of a joyous occasion, we began to navigate the jagged edges of our fractured love, a tentative step towards understanding, forgiveness, and perhaps healing. The weeks following the wedding brought a gradual shift in my perspective. Seeing Emily again had reopened old wounds, but also stirred a sense of clarity within me. I realized that while our marriage had ended in betrayal and heartbreak, the love we once shared had not been entirely lost. It was a bittersweet revelation, one that compelled me to seek closure and begin the journey towards healing. I immersed myself in activities that brought solace, a return to long-neglected hobbies, regular sessions with a therapist who helped me untangle the complex emotions swirling within, and reconnecting with friends who offered unwavering support through the tumultuous aftermath of divorce. Amidst the chaos of rebuilding my life, there were moments of introspection. I reflected on the signs I might have missed, the moments of disconnect that had quietly unraveled the fabric of our relationship. Understanding that forgiveness was a process, I struggled to reconcile the pain of betrayal with the longing for closure. One evening, while sorting through old photographs tucked away in a forgotten drawer, I stumbled upon a picture of Emily and me on our honeymoon, a snapshot of a time when our love had felt invincible, unblemished by the shadows that would later haunt us. Holding the photograph in trembling hands, I allowed myself to grieve for what had been lost and to acknowledge the depth of my own wounds. In the midst of my solitude, a surprising opportunity for closure presented itself, a chance encounter with Emily at a mutual friend's gathering. The air between us crackled with unspoken tension as we navigated the awkwardness of shared company. Yet amidst the discomfort, there was a flicker of understanding, a silent acknowledgement of our shared history and the pain that had reshaped it. "Can we talk?" Emily asked tentatively, her eyes searching mine for a glimmer of forgiveness. I nodded slowly, my heart heavy with the weight of unspoken words. Finding a quiet corner away from the chatter of the gathering, we settled into a pair of chairs, our bodies angled towards each other as if drawn by an invisible force. "I've been thinking a lot about everything," Emily began softly, her voice tinged with regret. "About us, about what happened." I listened in silence, the words hanging between us like fragile threads. In her earnestness, I sensed a genuine desire for understanding, a shared longing to make sense of the shards of our shattered love. "I never meant to hurt you," Emily continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was lost, confused. And Tyler, he was there. He listened to me in ways that I needed at the time." Her words stirred a mix of emotions within me, pain, anger, and a stubborn hope for closure. "I understand," I replied finally, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging within, "but it doesn't make it hurt any less." For a moment we sat in silence, the weight of our shared history pressing down on us like an anchor, and then tentatively, Emily reached out, her hand trembling slightly as she touched mine. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "For everything." I looked at her then, really looked at her, and saw the vulnerability etched in the lines of her face. In that moment, something shifted within me, a loosening of the grip that anger and betrayal had held on my heart for so long. "I forgive you," I said softly, surprising even myself with the depth of conviction in my voice. Not because it was okay, but because I need to let go. Tears spilled down Emily's cheeks then, mirroring my own as we sat there, two souls tethered together by the fragments of a love that had once defined us. In that quiet corner of our shared history, amidst the wreckage of broken promises and unspoken regrets, we found a fragile peace, a beginning, perhaps, of the healing that had eluded us for so long. The days following my conversation with Emily brought a strange mix of relief and lingering uncertainty. Forgiveness, I discovered, was not a simple act but a gradual unfolding, a process of letting go of resentment and reclaiming pieces of myself that had been overshadowed by heartache. I threw myself into work with renewed vigor, finding solace in the structured routine and the familiar hum of productivity. Yet, amidst the busyness, Emily's presence lingered in the corners of my mind, a constant reminder of the past that had reshaped our futures. Occasional messages from mutual friends offered updates on Emily's life, a new job, outings with friends, snippets of a life that continued to evolve beyond our shared history. Each update stirred a mix of emotions within me, curiosity, longing, and a quiet acceptance of the inevitable distance that had grown between us. One evening, while sorting through a pile of mail that had accumulated on the kitchen counter, I found an envelope with Emily's familiar handwriting. My heart skipped a beat as I opened it, revealing a handwritten note, a tentative gesture towards closure, perhaps, or an attempt to bridge the gap that had widened between us. In her words, I sensed a yearning for understanding, a shared desire to reconcile the fractures that had torn us apart. She spoke of regrets and apologies, of dreams deferred and wounds that had yet to fully heal. Reading her words, I felt a twinge of empathy, a recognition of the pain we had both endured in our journey towards forgiveness. Responding to her note took courage, a leap of faith into uncertain waters where words held the power to either deepen wounds or pave the way towards reconciliation. With trembling hands, I penned a response, a mix of gratitude for her honesty and a tentative hope for closure. Weeks passed in a blur of introspection and gradual healing. I found solace in the quiet moments, a walk in the park at dusk, the comforting embrace of a favorite book, and the laughter of friends who had stood by me through the darkest days of my journey. Occasional encounters with mutual acquaintances offered glimpses into Emily's evolving life, a newfound sense of independence, tentative steps towards personal growth, and a resilience that mirrored my own journey towards acceptance. And then, one afternoon, an unexpected invitation arrived, a gathering hosted by our mutual friends, a chance for old acquaintances to reconnect amidst the ebb and flow of life's uncertainties. The prospect of seeing Emily again stirred a mix of emotions within me: hope, apprehension, and a quiet resolve to confront the remnants of our shared history. Arriving at the gathering, I was greeted warmly by familiar faces, a reassuring reminder of the enduring bonds that had withstood the test of time and distance. The air buzzed with conversation and laughter, a stark contrast to the quiet tension that had marked our previous encounters. And then, amidst the crowd, our eyes met, a fleeting moment of recognition that spoke volumes of the unspoken words lingering between us. Emily approached tentatively, her smile hesitant, yet tinged with a flicker of hope. "Hi," she said softly, her voice barely audible above the hum of the gathering. "Hi," I replied, my own voice steady, despite the surge of emotions threatening to overwhelm me. The moment hung suspended between us, heavy with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Emily's presence felt both familiar and distant, like a melody from a past life that I struggled to recall in its entirety. As we stood there amidst the gathering of friends, I searched for a way to bridge the gap that had widened between us over the months since our divorce. "Hi," Emily said again, her voice tinged with a nervousness that mirrored my own. "Hi," I replied, offering a tentative smile that masked the turmoil roiling beneath the surface. "It's good to see you." She nodded slowly, her gaze drifting momentarily to the crowd before returning to meet mine. "Yeah, it's been a while." The understatement hung heavy between us, a reminder of the time lost and the distance grown between two people who had once shared everything. Yet beneath the awkwardness, there was a shared understanding, a recognition of the pain we had both endured, and the fragile hope that we might find a way to move forward. We lingered in that quiet corner of the gathering, our conversation weaving through moments of reminiscence and cautious optimism. Emily spoke of her new job, a fresh start that had offered a semblance of stability amidst the uncertainty of rebuilding her life. I listened attentively, offering words of encouragement and genuine interest in the steps she had taken towards personal growth. In turn, I shared snippets of my own journey, a return to passions long neglected, the slow process of rediscovering joy in small moments, and the resilience I had discovered in the aftermath of heartache. Emily listened intently, her eyes reflecting a mix of empathy and regret. "I'm sorry," she murmured finally, her voice barely above a whisper, "for everything." I nodded slowly, the weight of her words settling over us like a shroud. "I forgive you," I replied quietly, surprising myself with the clarity and conviction in my voice, "for my own sake as much as yours." Tears welled in Emily's eyes then, and she reached out tentatively, her hand hovering uncertainly before resting gently on mine. In that simple gesture, I felt a spark of connection, a fragile bridge spanning the chasm of hurt and misunderstanding that had threatened to consume us. For the rest of the evening, we remained in each other's company, navigating the ebb and flow of conversation with a newfound ease. The awkwardness of earlier moments gave way to shared laughter and the tentative exploration of common ground, an acknowledgement that while our paths had diverged, the bonds forged in love and shared history remained indelible. As the gathering drew to a close, Emily and I exchanged a lingering gaze, a silent promise of reconciliation and renewal, a testament to the resilience of love in its many forms. And as we parted ways that night, I carried with me a newfound sense of peace, a quiet acceptance of the past, and an unspoken hope for the future, wherever it might lead. The weeks that followed the gathering brought unexpected shifts in my perspective. Seeing Emily again had stirred dormant emotions and resurrected memories of our shared past, yet it also offered glimpses of a future where forgiveness and healing were possible. We began exchanging occasional messages, tentative steps towards rebuilding a bridge that had once seemed irreparably broken. Our conversations were cautious at first, threaded with the fragility of newfound understanding and the vulnerability that comes with reopening old wounds. One evening, as dusk settled over the city, Emily suggested meeting for coffee, a simple gesture that carried the weight of unspoken hopes and fears. I agreed, my heart racing with a mixture of apprehension and a stubborn resolve to confront the complexities of our shared history. The cafe buzzed with activity when I arrived, the air thick with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft hum of quiet conversation. Spotting Emily in a corner booth, I approached tentatively, my nerves betraying the calm facade I attempted to maintain. "Hi," she greeted warmly, a genuine smile lighting up her face as she motioned for me to join her. "Hey," I replied softly, sliding into the seat opposite her. "It's good to see you." "You too," she nodded, her gaze searching mine for any sign of discomfort or resentment. "Thank you for coming." We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us like a fragile veil. And then, with a deep breath, Emily began to speak, her voice steady yet tinged with vulnerability. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she started, her eyes fixed on the tabletop as she struggled to find the right words. "About us, about everything that happened." I listened intently, my own heart aching with the weight of memories and regrets that had accumulated over time. Emily spoke of her journey towards self-discovery, a process fraught with uncertainty and the painful realization of the consequences of her choices. "I never meant to hurt you," she continued softly, her voice filled with remorse. "I was lost, confused, and I made mistakes that I can't take back." Her words stirred a mix of emotions within me, pain, anger, and a flicker of empathy for the woman sitting across from me, stripped of the bravado that had once shielded her vulnerabilities. "I know," I replied quietly, my voice hoarse with emotion, "and I've been trying to understand, to forgive." Emily looked up then, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "Can you forgive me?" she asked earnestly, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated, grappling with the enormity of her question and the weight of my own healing process. And then, with a clarity that surprised us both, I nodded slowly. "Yes," I said finally, the word carrying with it a sense of release and renewal. "I forgive you, Emily." Tears spilled down her cheeks then, mirroring my own as we sat there in shared vulnerability, the cafe bustling around us oblivious to the emotional reckoning unfolding in that quiet corner. "I'm so sorry," Emily murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "I know," I replied softly, reaching across the table to gently squeeze her hand, a gesture of reassurance and a silent promise of acceptance. In that moment, amidst the backdrop of a bustling cafe and the weight of our shared history, Emily and I began to navigate the uncertain terrain of forgiveness and reconciliation, a journey marked by healing, understanding, and the quiet resilience of love that had survived despite its scars. The weeks following our coffee meeting unfolded with a surprising ease. Emily and I navigated a delicate dance of rebuilding trust and rediscovering each other outside the confines of our past hurts. Our conversations deepened, exploring not only the wounds that had divided us, but also the hopes and dreams that had once united us. We spent evenings together, sharing meals and exchanging stories that spanned the spectrum of our lives, the mundane details of daily routines mingling with reflections on the profound changes that had reshaped our paths. Emily spoke of her aspirations for the future, a career path that aligned with her passions, tentative steps towards personal growth, and a newfound sense of independence that mirrored the resilience I had witnessed in her. In turn, I shared my own journey of self-discovery, a gradual acceptance of the imperfections that had defined our marriage, and the quiet courage it had taken to confront the shadows of my own vulnerabilities. Emily listened with an empathy that spoke volumes of the mutual understanding we had begun to cultivate, a shared acknowledgement of the mistakes that had reshaped our relationship, and the tentative hope for a future where forgiveness and healing could coexist. Occasional moments of discomfort surfaced, a fleeting reminder of the scars that still lingered beneath the surface. Yet, each instance became an opportunity for honest dialogue and renewed commitment to the journey we had embarked upon, a journey towards reconciliation and a deeper, more resilient love. As the days turned into weeks, Emily and I navigated the complexities of our evolving relationship with a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. We explored new interests together, a cooking class that sparked laughter amidst spilled flour and shared recipes, weekend hikes that offered moments of quiet reflection amidst the serenity of nature, and spontaneous road trips that unfolded like chapters in a story of rediscovery. One evening, as we sat beneath a canopy of stars, the weight of unspoken words hung between us, a tangible reminder of the fragile balance we had achieved. Emily reached out, her fingers brushing against mine in a silent gesture that spoke volumes of the unspoken promise between us. "I'm grateful for this," she whispered softly, her voice carrying the weight of gratitude and longing for the chance to rebuild what we lost. I nodded, my own heart swelling with a mix of emotions that defied simple definition. "Me too," I replied honestly, my voice steady despite the surge of emotions threatening to overwhelm me. In that moment, beneath the velvet sky and the whispering breeze, Emily and I found solace in the shared journey of forgiveness and renewal, a journey marked by resilience, understanding, and the quiet promise of a love that had survived despite its scars. The days turned into weeks, and Emily and I continued to navigate the complexities of rebuilding our relationship. Each moment spent together felt like a tentative step forward, a testament to the resilience of love that had weathered storms and emerged stronger. We found ourselves exploring new avenues of connection, long conversations that stretched into the late hours of the night, shared interests that deepened our bond, and moments of laughter that echoed with a newfound sense of joy. Emily's presence in my life became a source of comfort and reassurance, a reminder that forgiveness, though challenging, had opened the door to possibilities we had once thought lost. One afternoon, as we strolled through a sun-dappled park, Emily broached a topic that had lingered unspoken between us, the prospect of moving forward together, beyond the shadows of our past. "I've been thinking," she began tentatively, her gaze fixed on the path ahead, as if searching for the right words. "About us. About where we go from here." I listened quietly, the weight of her words settling over us like a mantle. Emily spoke of her hopes for a future intertwined with mine, a shared journey towards rebuilding trust, nurturing a love that had withstood the test of time, and embracing the lessons learned from our shared history. "It's not going to be easy," she continued earnestly, her eyes meeting mine with a vulnerability that mirrored my own. "But I want to try, if you're willing." Her sincerity resonated within me, stirring a mix of emotions that ranged from apprehension to a stubborn hope for the future we had once envisioned together. "I want that too," I admitted softly, reaching out to gently squeeze her hand, a gesture of reassurance and a silent promise of commitment. In the weeks that followed, Emily and I embarked on a journey of rebuilding, a deliberate effort to forge a new path forward while honoring the scars of our past. We navigated the complexities of merging our lives once more, making space for each other's aspirations, supporting each other's dreams, and embracing the imperfections that had shaped our shared narrative. Together, we faced moments of doubt and vulnerability, conversations that unearthed buried resentments, fears of repeating past mistakes, and the daunting prospect of trusting again. Yet, with each hurdle overcome, we discovered a renewed sense of strength in our bond, a testament to the resilience of love that had endured despite its fractures. Occasional setbacks reminded us of the fragility of our journey, a missed step that threatened to unravel the progress we had made, a lingering doubt that cast shadows over the clarity we sought. Yet, each setback became an opportunity for growth, a chance to reaffirm our commitment, to communicate more openly, and to navigate the complexities of forgiveness with renewed empathy and understanding. And through it all, amidst the uncertainty and the quiet triumphs, Emily and I found solace in the shared journey of healing, a journey marked by resilience, courage, and the unwavering belief in the transformative power of forgiveness. As our journey towards reconciliation continued, Emily and I found ourselves navigating new challenges and embracing moments of unexpected joy. Our shared experiences deepened our connection, offering glimpses of a future that felt more tangible with each passing day. One weekend, Emily surprised me with tickets to a concert, a thoughtful gesture that spoke volumes of her desire to create lasting memories together. The music filled the air with a melodic resonance, weaving threads of nostalgia and hope as we stood shoulder to shoulder, lost in the rhythm of the moment. Between songs, Emily leaned close, her voice soft against the backdrop of cheering fans and twinkling stage lights. "Thank you for being here," she murmured, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and longing. I smiled, the warmth of her words thawing the last vestiges of doubt that lingered within me. "I'm glad we came," I replied sincerely, squeezing her hand in silent affirmation. In the weeks that followed, Emily and I continued to explore new horizons. A weekend getaway to the coast, where the salty breeze carried echoes of laughter and whispered promises of a future entwined. Lazy Sunday mornings spent savoring breakfast in bed, the intimacy of shared moments easing the weight of past regrets. Yet, amidst the joy, there were moments of uncertainty, a lingering hesitance to fully let go of the hurts that had defined our past. Emily and I confronted these challenges with honesty and compassion, navigating conversations that unearthed buried fears and reaffirmed our commitment to forging a new path forward. One evening, as we sat beneath a blanket of stars, Emily broached a topic that had weighed heavily on her mind, the prospect of blending our lives once more, not just as companions, but as partners in every sense of the word. "I want us to move in together," she confessed quietly, her voice threaded with vulnerability. "To create a home where we can build new memories together." Her words stirred a mix of emotions within me, joy at the prospect of a shared future, tempered by the lingering shadows of doubt that whispered of past wounds. Yet in Emily's eyes, I saw a reflection of my own hopes and dreams, a shared desire for a future where forgiveness and resilience paved the way for lasting happiness. "I want that too," I replied softly, reaching for her hand and holding it gently in mine. "Let's take this step together." And so, in the days that followed, Emily and I embarked on the journey of merging our lives once more, a process marked by compromise, patience, and a steadfast belief in the transformative power of love. We navigated the intricacies of combining households, making space for each other's belongings, and weaving our individual routines into a shared tapestry of daily life. Together, we created a home, a sanctuary where laughter echoed in every corner, where forgiveness thrived, and where the echoes of our past were overshadowed by the promise of a future filled with hope and possibility. The decision to move in together marked a significant milestone in Emily's and my journey toward reconciliation. As we settled into our new shared space, every corner seemed to echo with the promise of a fresh start and the quiet hope of a future rebuilt on the foundation of forgiveness and understanding. We approached the logistics of blending our lives with a mix of excitement and apprehension, sorting through belongings accumulated over years, deciding which pieces of furniture to keep, and negotiating the intricacies of daily routines. Each decision became an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to each other, to compromise with grace, and to forge a home that reflected our shared vision for the future. Weekends were spent exploring nearby neighborhoods, scouting out local cafes and parks, and envisioning the life we hoped to build together. Emily's laughter filled our home, a melody that spoke of newfound joy and the resilience of love that had endured despite its trials. Yet, amid the joyous moments, challenges arose, old habits that surfaced unexpectedly, reminders of past hurts that threatened to cast shadows over our newfound happiness. Emily and I navigated these moments with patience and empathy, each setback becoming an opportunity for growth and deeper understanding. One evening, as we sat together on our balcony overlooking the city skyline, Emily broached a topic that had lingered unspoken between us, the prospect of starting a family together. "I've been thinking," she began tentatively, her fingers tracing patterns on the worn wooden railing, "about us, about the future." I listened quietly, the weight of her words settling over us like a blanket of stars. Emily spoke of her dreams of motherhood, a desire to create a family rooted in love, and the lessons learned from our journey together. "I want to share this with you," she continued softly, her eyes searching mine for any sign of hesitation or uncertainty, to embark on this next chapter of our lives together. Her vulnerability touched something deep within me, a longing for a future where forgiveness and resilience were not just ideals, but lived realities. I want that too, I replied honestly, reaching for her hand and holding it gently in mine. Let's take this journey together, one step at a time. And so, in the days that followed, Emily and I embraced the prospect of parenthood with a mix of excitement and reverence. We navigated conversations about family planning, explored parenting philosophies, and began envisioning a future where our home would be filled with the laughter and love of children. Together, we prepared our space, a nursery taking shape with each carefully chosen piece of furniture, books that spoke of adventures yet to come, and dreams that blossomed like wildflowers in the warmth of spring. As we stood together in our newly furnished nursery, surrounded by the tangible evidence of our shared dreams, Emily turned to me with a smile that spoke volumes of gratitude and hope. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion, "for believing in us, for believing in our future." I kissed her forehead gently, my heart overflowing with a love that had weathered storms and emerged stronger. "Thank you," I replied softly, "for never giving up on us." In that moment, amidst the quiet sanctuary of our home and the promise of a future filled with endless possibilities, Emily and I found solace in the shared journey of forgiveness, renewal, and the transformative power of love. As Emily and I settled into our new life together, the anticipation of parenthood infused each moment with a profound sense of purpose and joy. We eagerly embraced the preparations, immersing ourselves in the process of transforming our home into a haven for our growing family. Nestled in the heart of our home, the nursery became a labor of love, a sanctuary where dreams took shape amidst the gentle glow of soft lighting and the scent of freshly painted walls. Together, we assembled cribs and changing tables, carefully arranged plush toys and picture books that spoke of adventures waiting to unfold. Weekends were spent exploring baby stores, marveling at the array of strollers and car seats, and engaging in animated discussions about parenting philosophies and the values we hope to instill in our children. Emily's laughter echoed through our home, a melodic reminder of the newfound happiness that filled our days. Amidst the excitement, however, moments of doubt crept in, questions that lingered in the quiet spaces between our conversations. Emily and I grappled with the weight of responsibility that parenthood would bring, navigating discussions about sleepless nights, the challenges of balancing careers with childcare, and the inevitable changes that awaited us. One evening, as we sat on our living room couch, Emily turned to me with a furrowed brow, a hint of uncertainty shadowing her usually bright eyes. "Are we ready for this?" she asked softly, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. I took her hand in mine, feeling the warmth of her touch anchor me amidst the whirlwind of emotions that threatened to overwhelm. "We'll figure it out together," I reassured her, my voice steady with conviction. "We've faced challenges before and we've come out stronger." Emily nodded slowly, her gaze searching mine for reassurance. "I want this," she admitted earnestly. "But sometimes I worry about whether I'll be a good mother, about whether we'll be enough." Her vulnerability touched a chord deep within me, a reminder of the doubts that had plagued us both in the aftermath of our past struggles. "You already are," I said softly, squeezing her hand gently. "And we will be. We'll learn as we go, just like we've learned to navigate everything else." In the days that followed, Emily and I approached parenthood with a renewed sense of purpose and resilience. We attended parenting classes together, seeking guidance from experts and drawing strength from the shared knowledge that we were not alone in our journey. We immersed ourselves in books on childbirth and early childhood development, engaging in spirited debates about breastfeeding versus bottle feeding, the benefits of baby-led weaning, and the importance of creating a nurturing environment for our child. As Emily's due date approached, our anticipation grew palpable, a mix of excitement and nervousness that mirrored the ebb and flow of emotions within our home. We prepared for the arrival of our baby with a meticulous attention to detail, stocking up on essentials and creating a birth plan that honored Emily's wishes and celebrated the miracle of new life. And when the day finally arrived, amidst the flurry of hospital visits and the gentle rhythm of labor pains, Emily and I stood side by side, hands intertwined, hearts brimming with anticipation, and a quiet confidence in the journey that had brought us to this moment. As I looked into Emily's eyes, illuminated by the soft glow of the delivery room, I knew with unwavering certainty that together we were ready for the challenges, the joys, and the boundless love that awaited us on the other side of parenthood. The arrival of our daughter Charlotte filled our lives with a profound sense of wonder and responsibility. As Emily and I adjusted to the rhythms of parenthood, our days became a delicate dance of feedings, diaper changes, and the soothing melodies of lullabies that echoed through the quiet corners of our home. Charlotte's presence brought a newfound depth to our relationship, a shared commitment to nurturing her curiosity, celebrating her milestones, and weathering the inevitable challenges that parenthood presented. Emily's natural grace as a mother blossomed, her touch gentle yet steadfast as she cradled Charlotte in her arms, whispering words of love and reassurance. In the weeks that followed Charlotte's birth, our home overflowed with the warmth of family and friends who visited, bearing gifts and well wishes. Each visitor marveled at Charlotte's tiny features, the curve of her cheeks, the flutter of her eyelashes, as if affirming the miracle that had brought us together as a family. Amidst the joyful chaos of late-night feedings and the sweet scent of baby lotion that lingered in the air, Emily and I found moments of quiet reflection, stealing kisses in the dim light of the nursery, marveling at how seamlessly Charlotte had woven herself into the fabric of our lives. Yet, amidst the tender moments, challenges arose that tested our resilience. Sleepless nights blurred into days filled with uncertainties, questions that lingered in the shadows of our exhaustion. Emily and I grappled with the demands of balancing parenthood with our careers, navigating the intricacies of childcare, while striving to preserve the intimacy that had anchored our relationship. One evening, as we sat on our living room couch, Emily's expression mirrored the weight of unspoken worries that weighed upon her. "I feel like I'm constantly torn between work and being there for Charlotte," she admitted softly, her voice tinged with exhaustion. I reached for her hand, drawing her close in a gesture of comfort and understanding. "You're doing an amazing job," I reassured her earnestly, my heart aching with empathy. "We'll figure this out together." Emily nodded slowly, her gaze meeting mine with a mix of gratitude and determination. "I just want to be the best mother I can be," she confessed quietly. Her vulnerability touched something deep within me, a reminder of the fears and doubts that had once threatened to unravel us. "You already are," I murmured, pressing a kiss to her forehead, "and Charlotte knows it too." In the days that followed, Emily and I approached parenthood with a renewed sense of teamwork and resilience. We established a routine that accommodated our professional commitments while prioritizing quality time with Charlotte, reading bedtime stories, exploring the neighborhood park, and savoring the simple joys of watching her discover the world around her. Together, we attended parenting workshops and sought guidance from seasoned parents, drawing strength from their wisdom and shared experiences. We embraced the challenges of parenthood as opportunities for growth, navigating sleep regressions, teething woes, and the inevitable milestones that marked Charlotte's journey from infancy to toddlerhood. And as Emily and I stood side by side, marveling at the marvels of our daughter's laughter and the indomitable spirit that had united us, we found solace in the shared journey of parenthood, a journey illuminated by the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the unwavering belief in the beauty of second chances. The passage of time seemed both swift and profound as Emily and I navigated the early years of parenthood with Charlotte. Our home became a sanctuary of laughter and learning, filled with the music of childish giggles and the pitter-patter of tiny feet that echoed through the hallways. Charlotte's personality blossomed with each passing day, a curious blend of Emily's gentle nurturing and my own spirited determination. Together, we marveled at her first steps, celebrated her first words, and embraced the challenges of guiding her through the milestones of toddlerhood. As Charlotte grew, our conversations expanded beyond the immediate demands of parenthood to encompass dreams for her future, a future shaped by the values of resilience, empathy, and a steadfast belief in the power of love. Yet amidst the joyous chaos of family life, Emily and I confronted moments of uncertainty, lingering doubts that surfaced in the quiet spaces between bedtime stories and morning routines. We grappled with decisions about Charlotte's education, navigating the complexities of finding a balance between academic rigor and nurturing her natural curiosity. One evening, as Emily and I sat at the kitchen table, poring over brochures from local preschools. A palpable tension hung in the air, a reflection of the weight of responsibility that parenthood imposed upon us. "I want Charlotte to have the best opportunities," Emily admitted softly, her fingers tracing the outlines of colorful illustrations. "But I also worry about pushing her too hard." I nodded in understanding, the ache of uncertainty mirrored in my own heart. "We want what's best for her," I murmured, reaching across the table to grasp Emily's hand in reassurance. "And we'll find the right balance together." Emily's gaze met mine with a mix of gratitude and determination. "I just want her to be happy," she confessed earnestly. Her words resonated deeply within me, a reminder of the shared dreams and aspirations that had brought us together on this journey. "She will be," I assured Emily gently, my voice filled with conviction, "because she has parents who love her unconditionally." In the days that followed, Emily and I immersed ourselves in the search for the perfect preschool, a decision that symbolized our commitment to nurturing Charlotte's growth and fostering her love for learning. We visited classrooms, met with teachers, and engaged in heartfelt discussions about educational philosophies and the values we hope to instill in our daughter. Together, we navigated the complexities of enrollment deadlines and tuition fees, drawing strength from the knowledge that every decision we made was rooted in our unwavering belief in Charlotte's potential and the limitless possibilities that awaited her. And as we stood together on the threshold of a new chapter in Charlotte's journey, Emily and I found solace in the shared responsibility of parenthood, a responsibility that bound us together in a tapestry of love, resilience, and the enduring hope that our daughter's future would be bright with promise and possibility. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos.